How you doing, sir?
Just fine, thank you, and I hope you're doing well.
I am. So today, we want to talk about, are we denying our miracle?
Yes, actually, everything is a miracle or nothing is. Think about it. What isn't a miracle? The thing of it is that we're playing on such a low scale of thinking and feeling that we can't receive from greater resources that are being offered if you'll just order your conversations right. Your own conversations, what you're thinking to yourself, that's telling you your future. And if you don't like it, change it, because you're always thinking ahead of your evidence. Isn't that so?
It is so. So when we're going back to, you said everything's a miracle. Now, if I look out and look at somebody else, look at their success, for example, and I basically say, they're so successful and I can't do what it is that they're doing, am I denying myself at that moment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because remember what I said, all of it, that all denial is self-denial. God's not denying you anything. He told you to ask. Did he put any parameters behind that? No. It's whatsoever. Good, bad, or indifferent. Look, we're always thinking ahead of our evidence. What are you thinking about? Because that's what you're going to be experiencing. Whatever you're thinking about, that you're building your experiences right there. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you're paying attention, and when I say paying attention, Neville said that that's the coin of heaven, and it is. Well, it can be the coin of hell, too, if you're thinking the wrong thing, if you're negative about everything. But that's what it is. You're going to face what you're thinking about. Think about facing it, and then see what you decide. That would be a place right there to decide, wouldn't it?
It would be a place to decide and to start. As we're looking at it, because, of course, I used to be of the opinion that my issues weren't because of my thinking. Of course, it couldn't have been my thinking, but it was everything outside of me.
Yeah, well, that's it. If you're listening to your environment, then your environment's in control. If you're listening to your body, then your body's in control. But if they're both listening to you, you're in control. And that's what you're told to do. You're told to come forth and claim. You're not actually asking, you're claiming from what already is. Creation's finished. And so all you're doing is creatively choosing from what already is. I think that says it, doesn't it?
It does. So as we're creatively choosing from what already is, we name the beast in the garden. Is that correct?
Right. That's right. That's what he was told to do. Give it a name. When you give it a name, you're claiming it exists. So if you're thinking about something you don't want to have anything to do with, then stop thinking about it, because you're giving it life, yours. And it'll attack you, because that's where it all comes from, you. As you think, you as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Man, male, female. What more do you need to know than that you're producing your life by your own inner conversations? You're suggesting to yourself what you'll do, what you'll think, what you'll feel. Why are you not listening? That's all I have to ask them. Why are you not listening? You want to know, there it is. How you know. And you do know much, much more than you're even thinking about now. But all you have to do is just listen to your own inner conversations, and you'll find out where you're going. Because as you're impressed, you're expressed. And thinking upon something is impressing yourself, or teasing yourself, or temptation in front of yourself. That's what it says. As a man thinketh. He didn't say as he's actually doing it, just thinking it. So watch what you're thinking when you say.
Absolutely. So for the person, their story is, I have no money in the bank, for example. What story should they be telling themselves?
Well, the idea is that you're looking to the bank, and all that they do is just take your money in and give it back to you when you ask for it. That's all they're there for that purpose anyway. God has given you a choice. That choice there is the maker of yourself. You have a choice. Choose this day. And like I say, it's always this day. It's never a yesterday. It's never a tomorrow. It's always this day. And now, you're told, is the appointed hour. Well, it is. It is for change. Are you ready? You have to know the principles. You have to know the general setup of as you think you are, because nothing's being added to what you're thinking. Nothing's being taken away from what you're thinking about. It's only going to produce your world in every detail to as you think you are. So, if you're not enjoying what you're living right now, thinking, feelingly, your experiences, then sit quietly. Change your mind. Change your world. And that's all you're actually expected to do. That's your business here. Directing your own inner conversations. That's it. If you're the director and you're choosing what you want, not what you don't want, but then most people are choosing what they don't want because that's what has their attention, and that's what they're feeding. They're feeding it their attention, and that's its life. It only lives as long as you're feeding it. When you stop feeding it, it goes away. I think that said it, didn't it?
It does. So going back to the money in the bank or the lack of money in the bank, that's not the issue. Would you agree?
No, being broke, that's one thing. But wallowing in it, that's another. See, right there, that's the connection right there to your staying where you're at. Now, if you want to be different, then you have to think different. Nothing's going to be taken away from you. You have to let it go. Even what you don't want, you still have to let it go. Because as long as you're thinking about it, you're feeding it. And believe me, what you feed will stay with you. So, it's just like the cat. If you put the food on him, he'll be there every day. So be mindful, really, for a while, for a time. Be mindful of what you're thinking feelingly about. Right?
Absolutely. So the question is going to be, and I know the question's coming, you said let it go. The person out there just listening, the question is going to be, how do I let it go?
Well, all you do is think of something else. If you're not in control of your mind to choose your thinking, well, then you're in trouble. But you are choosing, and 90% of your choosing is unaware of what you're choosing because you're not paying attention. And that's what all of our problems are, is just our not paying attention to what we're allowing ourselves to entertain as thought. It's that simple. It's really that simple. You can change your mind, change your world. There's nothing else added to that. That's it. You change your mind, you change your world. And I know it sounds like a harp on it, but it needs harping. Don't you think?
I do. And, I love the simplicity of the answer, because everybody else that they're going to listen to is going to make this thing complicated. They're going to give them 10 steps how to change their world. And the simple step is change your mind, change your world. Would you agree?
That's it. That's it. God is telling you that you have a say, a valid say, that he will answer you. You're told that you receive not because you ask not. Well, that seems like you can correct that fairly easy, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what it really is. You keep it simple, you remember it. You complicate it, you forget it. Because you don't want to think about it now. Because it's not really part of your daily doing. And so to make yourself take a time to step aside, that's really most people's problems. They never think of themselves. They're thinking about what they're doing or somebody else, and they're not actually taking care of self. And that's the one you need to take care of, because if you don't take care of that one, then you need somebody to take care of you. I think that about says that, doesn't it?
It does. And I like that you said, a lot of times with people, they just don't want to think about it now. They want you to give them solutions. They want to hear the solutions, and then they want to decide if they're going to execute the solution in another time. Because, of course, now is not the time that I want to implement that.
It says, do the thing. Do it. Do a thing, and you shall have the power. The power, not a power, the power. That's what you're operating. You see, everybody misses it. They think they're all little people. You're not. You have a mind that expands everything. There's only God. Only God. He's all things to all. That's the story. That's your story. That's my story. That's DeCarlo's story. Everybody is included. Nobody is lost. Everybody makes it eventually. It's that eventually that's really scary.
It is.
Look, you're preparing right now. Now is your next life. Someone's always asking, well, what's the next life like? It's just exactly like this one if you don't change it. Because nothing changes in your world until you change your mind. And I mean, change it and feel the changing of your mind. Because it will change. It'll resist you at first. I mean, that's obvious, but because mind doesn't like to change. It likes routine. So you actually have to kind of encourage it to change over a period of time. The reiteration, and that's the style for changing your lifestyle, wouldn't you say?
Reiteration, repetition. This is what everything's about. If you're looking at desired change, it's necessary. You're not going to get this. Many times we think that we read a book or we listen to a CD or an audio program, and we say, man, I listened to it one time, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah. He said, well, I read the book.
Absolutely.
Once.
Years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's such a simple thing to just sit in the silence and discern, what is it that I really want to accomplish? Do I really want to accomplish something? You got to decide that first. but what do I really intend to do? Because that's what you'll do, what you're actually intending to do. That's what you'll do. Or you won't do it. But that's you. And that's your decision, because you're given to make a decision. And that alone is the beautifulness of it, is that you're given to make a choice. I mean, just think about that. I mean, sit in the silence and think about that for a while. And if that doesn't lift you up, then you're in depression, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And the wonderful thing about what you just said was, you didn't tell them what choice to make. Choice is opened up to them. Decision is opened up to them to whatsoever. And that's great, but many people never make the choice.
Yeah, that's right. They don't. And they don't because they don't know how. They wouldn't know they are choosing all the time. They're actually choosing, all you're told, choose this day, and you're living this day, and everything you're doing this day is according to what you're thinking feelingly about generally most of the time. And all you have to do is change that, and you change your day. It's really that simple. But you have to remember, though, say a person of 40 years old, okay, he's been conditioned, hypnotized, mesmerized his whole life and doesn't even really know who he is. He thinks he's this name that he carries around or Social Security number or something like that. But that's just what you're doing. That isn't who you are. Who you are is running the whole show. But you can make a contact. Go in a closet, close the door, when you're alone, speak to your Father, which is in heaven. Alone. Did you get that? If you're alone and you can speak to your Father, that means, like I said, Jesus was telling you, right, I and my Father are one, even as you and I are one. So he's listening to you. He's listening to you talking to yourself. That's what you're feeding. Any idea that you hold in mind, you're feeding it. You're keeping it alive. Let it go. And change your mind. Change your world. I know I harp on this all the time, but if you don't have the principles, the way it's set up for you, you don't even have to have an ability. Someone says, well, I don't have the ability, but you don't need ability. All you have to do is just choose what you're going to think about. That's it. And if you approve of it, you're on your way. That's simple, isn't it?
It is simple. I like that you said that you don't have to have ability, but just the willingness to make the decision.
That's it. Actually, people are worried about worthiness. Get over it. Nobody's worthy. It says right in Scripture, not one is worthy. So it's all about grace. But you have to feel after it. You're told, claim it. Feel after him, and you'll find him, you, doing, being, having your ideal, your dream, your mission, if that's what you're thinking about. But you have to think about it. Thoughts are things. I mean, look around you. Look at all the things around. Their thoughts are things. Just focus. That's all you have to do is focus. If you're focused on what you want and you stay focused on it, morning, noon, and night, not depriving yourself of doing all the things you need to do, but just keep it in mind because it will grow. If you feed it, it'll grow. And like I said, paying attention to it, that's the feeding of it. So you can do this. It is a doable. You're not somebody set aside who doesn't know that they can do it. It's just you not knowing you can do it because you can. And all you're told to do is just test it as you think you are. Just remember what you're thinking and then see what you're experiencing. It's that simple, isn't it?
It is. And it goes back to my telling you about the individual that says that they have no money in the bank. And I told an individual recently, I said, pretend as though you're wealthy. Because, see, imagination can't tell the difference. We say subconscious mind. But subconscious mind, imagination, can't tell the difference between our truth and our fiction.
It just doesn't care. It's your decision. It's not involved at all. It's just making your world according to the blueprint you're laying out in your dreaming. Are you dreaming? Or are you nightmaring? See, you're in charge if you take charge. And you're given to be in charge. All you have to do is take charge. And you take charge by choosing what you think, what you feel. And that's it. As you think, you are, you do, you have, you be. On and on throughout the Scriptures. It's telling you that that's what's happening. Your thinking is your world of experiencing. And every word we're told it must be accounted for. It's taken in to make up your world of experiencing. Every word. So really, just listen to yourself for a while and consider that it's every word.
Someone said recently, they said, I'm not able to visualize, and I'm not able to I'm not really good with affirmations. And I said, listen, we're visualizing all the time. When we think about the worst case scenario, that's a visualization. And when we begin to negatively self-talk, that's an affirmation. So we're doing it all the time. Only thing that we're asking the listener to do is to be more conscious, more aware of what it is that they're doing. Would you agree?
A director, absolutely. That's what you're here to do, is to be a director of your own inner conversations. Isn't that it?
Absolutely.
That's it. You're here to be a director of your own inner conversations, and as you direct them, that's what you're experiencing, that's what you're being, that's what you're having, that's what you're doing. And all you have to do is just listen to yourself, and you can prove it. And if you want to disprove it, just do that and see if it isn't what I said it is, because it is. You can't miss it if you're listening to what you're saying, because you're mapping out your experiences on down the line. Some things won't happen for months or maybe even years, because every vision has its appointed hour, and it will ripen. And when the subject comes up for that particular idea, hey, you have mindsets that you probably don't even know half of them that you have, because I'm sure I didn't. But the point is, you're making mindsets on things. Why not make them on the ideas that you want to remember, not the ones you want to forget? Because the more you use whatever the idea is, the more it's going to be part of your everydayness. Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And, I like that you were saying, you said just listen to yourself to prove what it is that you're thinking. And to go a step further, look at your life results. If you're not living the life that you desire, then we can know that your thinking is off track. Would you agree?
The whole idea is just get on track and stay on track. That's it. Because it's a very clear message. I mean, we can get into all of the speaking of deep secrets of Scripture, but you don't have the basic idea of how mind works, then none of it will really make any sense. It actually will just really be a waste of time. Get the principles down as you think you are. That's it. If you get that and you follow that, just be persistent as you can be. I know you're not aware all the time. We're aware of that, aren't we, DeCarlo?
Absolutely. None of us are. Absolutely.
But the thing of it is, you can choose to be immediately if you'll choose to be aware. Aware of what? Aware of what you're thinking and feeling, because that's your life experiencing. As you're impressed, you express. If someone outside of you impresses you, then you'll be expressing what they're saying. Impress yourself. That's the one you want to be impressed by. Yourself. Yourself. First person. That's the one you want to focus on. And it's not being unfriendly or anything like that to anybody else. No one needs to know what you're doing. You don't need to tell anybody anything. Probably be better if you didn't at first, because all they'll try to do is change your mind. And that's what you need to do. Change your mind. Change your world, because that's what all of these talks are about. You have the ability. It isn't even ability, actually. It's just willingness. Willingness to turn to what you say you believe. That's it. And you believe a lot of things. If you just stop and think about it, you believe a lot of things. But how many of them are true and how many of them are falsehoods? See, that's what sitting in the silence you do. You kind of separate it. You throw the garbage out. That's it. Because actually, if it's not leading you where you want to go, you don't need it. So why think about it, right?
Absolutely. And I like that you said, you believe a lot of things, and some of them are even falsehoods. How many things have we grown up with as kids and so forth that our parents told us, grandparents, and those in our community, and we owned it. And we keep manifesting those results in our life, and we don't realize that those belief systems go all the way back to when we were children. Would you agree?
Oh, yes, sure. As a matter of fact, I've talked to people in their 90s, and they are not aware that they're still being raised by their parents who have been long dead. And they're still being raised by their parents, and they don't see it. But all you have to do is have a conversation with them for a few minutes, and you find out that's exactly what's happening. That was the reason for that celebration of becoming of age, when you start learning to think for yourself. But how many people do? How many people just carried on over what they were doing before as though they have nothing to look forward to? No dream. When the people fail to dream, they start to die. And that means you shut down. Systems shut down. You have all sorts of problems because you're not thinking right. If you order your conversations right, you're not going to be thinking about illnesses and all of that. It isn't part of the story in that sense that you have a say to change your mind, change your world. Do so and see so for yourself so, when you say.
Absolutely. And I have to also state that when I first started learning these principles, one thing that it caused me to do is to begin challenging old beliefs. Many people come into this knowledge and this insight and so forth, and they're still fostering old beliefs that have kept them bound for years, and they're wondering why they can't move beyond their current situation. Old belief isn't serving you. Change it.
In other words, when you're sitting in a silence, you got to face all of these things face up, because it's just you sitting there thinking feelingly about what, and that's creative. You see, you're still being creative, even if you're thinking negatively. You're still being creative of a negative situation, because everything is created by choice, and you have choice. What are you choosing? See, I'm trying to bring this down to the level where, as you think you are, that really is a statement that says it all, if you really listen to it. As you think you are. That was the message. Jesus gave you that message. God gave you that message. The disciples gave you that message, that as you think you are. Why wouldn't you examine what you're thinking so you'll know what you're going to be? And if you know what you're going to be before you be it, then you can change it. You're always thinking ahead of your evidence. It's a simple message, isn't it?
It is. And I like the simplicity of the message because it goes back to, as you think you are. If you just take ownership of that statement in your everydayness.
That's it. You're right. Yes, absolutely.
Own it. And start thinking about as I think I am. Okay, so what am I manifesting today? Am I happy with? Now, if you're happy with it, stay with the thought. But if you're not happy with the current manifestation, what needs to happen in your thinking? What makeover do you need to make in your thinking to change your thoughts and change your world? Would you agree?
Well, yes. It's like you were saying, the money in the bank. If you're thinking about the money in the bank as a negative, then it is a negative. If you're thinking about the money in the bank, or it isn't in the bank, that's just a fact at the moment. There is always change on the horizon if you'll arise to it.